आज हमारे बीच रामकृष्ण मठ और मिशन के उपाध्यक्ष परम पूज्यपाद स्वामी भूतेशानंद जी महाराज उपस्थित हैं। पिछली बार मैंने सूचना दी थी उनके इस अंचल में कार्यक्रम के संबंध में, और मैंने उनसे अनुरोध किया था कि एक दिन आपके उपदेशों का लाभ यहाँ के भक्तों को भी होना चाहिए। उन्होंने कृपापूर्वक इसकी सहमति दी और इसलिए आज का यह कार्यक्रम आयोजित है। श्रीमद् भागवत पर प्रवचनमाला चली हुई है यहाँ पर, इसलिए जब उन्होंने मुझसे पूछा कि किस विषय पर चर्चा करनी है तो मैंने यही कहा कि भागवत पर प्रकरण चल रहा है, इसलिए अधिक अच्छा होगा भागवत के संदेश के संबंध में भक्तगण आपको सुने। इसके लिए भी उनकी कृपापूर्ण सहमति प्राप्त हुई और आज वे द मैसेज ऑफ द भागवत इस विषय पर हम सब लोगों को संबोधित करेंगे। पूज्यपाद महाराज जी के विशेष परिचय की आवश्यकता नहीं है, क्योंकि 1976 से प्रतिवर्ष ही उनका यहाँ पर आगमन हो रहा है और हम सब लोगों को उनके सानिध्य और सत्संग का लाभ मिलता रहता है।
वंदेयं सदा परिभवग्नमभीष्टदोहं तीर्थास्पदं शिवविरिञ्चिनुतं शरण्यं मृत्यार्तिहं प्रणतपालभवाब्धिपोतं वन्दे महापुरुषते चरणारविन्दं त्यक्त्वा सुदुस्तजश्रेप्सितराज्यलक्ष्मीं धर्मिष्ठयार्यवचसा यदगादरण्यं मायामृगं दयितेप्सितमन्नधावत् वन्दे महापुरुषते चरणारविन्दम्। As you may be aware, all the Puranas are the elucidations of the teachings of the Vedas in beautiful manner, illustrated with stories, so that they may be easily understood and they may have greater appeal to the people whose minds are not yet sufficiently trained so as to understand the teachings of the Vedas. It requires great scholarship to draw the meaning of the Vedas in a way that can be understood in a coherent manner, because apparently the Vedas are so presented as people will not find much coherence there. Perhaps because it is not a subject dealt with by a person in a systematic manner. The Vedas are collection of the experiences or revelations to the various rishis. Rishis are different. They are of different status, different caliber, and the expressions, their expressions also are terse and not in a language which is intelligible to us nowadays. Vedic language is now out of vogue. Later on, a language which was just made grammatical and chastened and presentable to the later age is called Sanskrit, or that which is reformed. Reformed means in a form that can be understood by the people of the day. But that also is not easy to understand now. But in those days, the Puranas were supposed to be very clear expositions of the teachings of the Vedas in a coherent manner. Now that is how the Puranas came into existence. All the Puranas are supposed to be composed by Vyasa himself, the Veda Vyasa. Now people feel amazed that such a vast collection of the books which are called the Puranas, whether they can be composed by a single author. There is doubt about that, and people say there must have been a number of Vyasas, of which Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa or Veda Vyasa is one. There may be many others. But as the Puranas have it, the introduction of the Srimad Bhagavata, the particular Mahapurana, is in this way. Veda Vyasa, who was the compiler of the Vedas into 4 different groups, the Rik, Shama, Yaju and Atharva. Then he wrote formed the sutras, the aphorisms, to just present the meaning of the Vedas in a brief manner through aphorisms. And then the Puranas, because the Vedas could not be understood by the later generation, so the Puranas had to be introduced. Puranas, as I told you, they are the elucidations of the Vedas. Now Veda Vyasa, or Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa, he is supposed to be the author of all these, the Brahma Sutras, or the aphorisms on the Veda, then the Puranas, the various Puranas that we know are all supposed to be compositions of Vyasa. But then, even after this much of contribution to the religious literature, he was not feeling happy. He was feeling as if his achievements are not enough. What was lacking he could not understand. Perhaps he thought, I have done all that a human being can do. Everything possible has been done by me. So far as the exposition of the scriptures is concerned, what remains more to be done? And even after all these achievements, he thought that he was not happy. He was not feeling that sort of elation that comes to a man who has fulfilled the purpose of his life. What remains more? He did not know. He did not know the cause of his unhappiness. So, he was in a dejected mood. And in that mood, there came to him Narada. Then he asked Narada, what is to be done? I am feeling unhappy. Narada said, yes, what you have done is highly creditable, no doubt. Perhaps this is enough that one can do. You have done many things. But there is one thing lacking. You have not elaborately described the Leela, the play of God. His Leela has not been as elaborately described as it should be. So that is how Vyasa felt the inspiration of starting another Upurana at the top of all those. And that is supposed to be the origin of the Srimad Bhagavata. In the Srimad Bhagavata, of course, the presiding deity there is Sri Krishna, the main theme. But as you may have seen in every Purana, everything that we expect to know about religion has been elaborately described, each Purana in its own way. There is a lot of similarity in this respect among the Puranas. But then how Bhagavata is going to be different from the other Puranas? It is not absolutely different in nature from the other Puranas, but then there is greatest emphasis in this book on the description of the Leela, the sports of Sri Krishna. It is not that other things are not mentioned. In that respect, Bhagavata is unique because it describes everything that we ought to know so far as our religion is concerned. There is a saying, Vidya Bhagavata Buddhi. The extent or the highest expression of Vidya is Bhagavata. That is the end. Now that is what is called Bhagavata. The word Bhagavata, of course, is derived from Bhagavan, whose Leela, whose sport is being described in the book. So it is called Srimad Bhagavatam. Now the idea is to give our knowledge in all respects in the book in a form that will be not only scholarly, but it will be acceptable to a common man. It is full of sweetness, and at the same time it is an inexhaustible mine of knowledge in different directions, and particularly the spiritual knowledge. That is why Bhagavata has got a unique place in our literature. If you just travel from in the different parts of India throughout, you will find people who clamor for hearing Bhagavata. And Bhagavata perhaps is being read by scholars as well as common men in their local language. It has been translated into all different languages, and many commentators have explained the slokas in their own way. In their own way I say, because the Bhagavata contains all the different aspects of religion, and different persons having different leanings may have different explanations to offer. You will find beautiful passages, beautiful slokas in the Bhagavata explaining the highest position, highest statements of Advaita. And also you will find dualism, also you will find other forms of expression. You have got Sankhya there, you have got yoga, you have got bhakti, you have got knowledge, jnana, everything. It gives you a way of life, it gives you in a comprehensive manner everything that you ought to know about religion. And any person having any particular tendency can read into Bhagavata the highest that he can aspire for. Everything is there in a beautiful manner. That is the beauty of the Bhagavata. If you understand Sanskrit and try to follow the Sanskrit language, it is wonderful poetry. Wonderful poetry, poetic imaginations, beautiful expressions. Even the rhymes are wonderful. You will feel amazed at the beauty of this book from different aspects of study. But that is for the scholars to seek. It is for the devotee to find there the best that will suit his taste and his approach to the ultimate reality, whether you call it God or Brahman or whatever you like. As I told you, it has got elaborate expressions of the Jnana Yoga, it has got the other things, karma, the Vedic rituals, etc., and at the same time, where it excels everything else is its treatment of the path of devotion. Now that is the unique feature of the Bhagavata. I do not know what should be the message of the Bhagavata in a way. Let me just remember the setting in which the Bhagavata was taught. The speaker of the Bhagavata, the main speaker is Shuka. You may remember Shuka, a sage who is absolutely unaware of his body, without any identification with the body. He was living in a body, but completely forgetful of it, completely unconscious about it. He would move about, but not with any kind of motive, as if he was merely an instrument being carried here and there by some supreme will, which is God Himself. From his very birth, he was supposed to be free from Maya, from ignorance, from the spell of the divine Maya which keeps everybody bound to body and presents this universe and the various experiences of joys and sorrows. He was free from it. The body consciousness was not there. There is a beautiful expression when he was going towards the place where he will have to speak about the Bhagavata. He was going just like a madman, unaware of the existence of the world as it were. He did not know where he was going. He was stark naked. There was no dress of any kind. He did not know about the body, so what to speak of dress? And people thought him, particularly boys, thought him to be a madman. So they just threw stones at him, threw dust at him, but he was not aware about it. In this way, just through some divine inspiration or as an instrument used by the divine, he went to the place where Parikshit was sitting, fasting because he knew his death was to come within 7 days. On the expiry of the 7 days, he is to give up the body. That was the knowledge that kept him fixed in a particular place, and he was anxious to do his best so that his death may be ultimately a gaining of a kingdom which is the highest, which is the maximum beatitude that man can have. Or he was anxious to have complete liberation from the body, to be free from the series of births and deaths. He was there seated, surrounded by all sages and saints. There was sacrificial fire was burning, and oblations were being offered there. Just let us imagine the sanctity, the gravity, the solemnity of the place. And by chance, just as I told you, without being aware as to where he was going, he went into that assembly of sages and saints. As soon as Shuka entered, all the sages, the rishis, they stood up with folded hands. And even the sacrificial fire, the fire stood up with folded hands. That he was being followed by a crowd of boys and curious people, as we find sometimes they follow a madman. But as soon as they saw this, they went away thinking he must be a great man. And we had been troubling a great man like that, so they felt ashamed and ran away. Now, this is the setting. Parikshit spoke. He told Shuka, Bhagavan, you have come as a godsend. I am now waiting for death. It will come on the 7th day. So, in this brief span of time, let me know what I should know before passing away from this body. There is no time. There is no time for scholarship or any big sacrifice to be undertaken. That would take much time. I am anxious to come to the end of my life prepared for what comes next. So what should I do? That was the setting. Really, Parikshit, who knew about his death after the 7 days, he was anxious to make the best use of his time and as much of it as possible. And who else can be a better guide than Shuka himself, who is the embodiment of all knowledge, who is the embodiment of all devotion, who is the embodiment of all renunciation. Who else can be a more competent teacher? So Parikshit put this before Shuka. Shuka started to teach him. Then in this way the Bhagavata gives illustration of many things. We are not concerned with all these. Purana in its compass it comprehends almost all the teachings of the Vedas, as I tell you. So the great emphasis that we should give to in this discourse is what is the knowledge that will bring us liberation easily and in a short period of time. So some stories are there. They are a question is raised. Now in the manner of storytelling things are mentioned there. Dharman Bhagavatan Bruta Yadina Sruta Ikshamam. If we are competent to hear about it, give us the dharmas, tell us about the dharmas or the way to the attainment of God realization. And not only that, Anja Pungsam Avid, then he says, what is Bhagavad Dharma? He explains that way. Ye vai Bhagavata Prokta Upaya Jhatma Labdhaye Anja Pungsam Avidushang Vidhi Bhagavata Nitan. What is Bhagavad Dharma? Then he explains. The Dharma, the way to spiritual life, spiritual realization, that has been spoken by Bhagavan himself, by God himself. Who else can teach us about the way to attain him but God himself? He alone can be the best teacher. Others only speak from their hearsay, what they have heard, what they have gathered from others or from books. But Bhagavan himself is the storehouse of all knowledge, and he knows best how to lead people towards him. That is why the question is very apt question. And the answer is given like this. Those dharmas, the ways to spiritual life, which have been taught by Bhagavan himself. And then not only that, Anja, without much effort, without much pain. To study requires a good deal of preparation. Much effort is required to perform the rites, the yajnas. That means immense effort is needed. And in Jnana Yoga requires a very much purified mind, perhaps great scholarship also, and strenuous effort for a long time. So it is said Anja, that is without much pain, much struggle, without much effort, easily that can be attained. And then Avidusham, even for people who are not very learned, who do not have book learning, who have no scholarship, whose mind has not been trained with various logical exercises. So that is the thing. That is what he mentions there as the Bhagavata Dharma. And that is the reason why the Bhagavata Dharma is so popular among people. Mostly we are people without much scholarship. Mostly we are people who are not prepared to take much pains to master the mysteries of spirituality. And we have no time also. Neither time nor the effort that is required for it, and not the equipment. So what is the way for us? Then that is mentioned like that. But then what is that? The answer is that, as I told you, though Bhagavata deals with everything, its greatest emphasis is on the path of devotion. Now that is what is said, that devotion to God, that is what is the best thing to do. You do not need much scholarship for it. You do not need much equipment with great literary grace and great intellectual acumen. All these are not absolutely necessary. And then it does not require a long time to practice. Is it to give us encouragement or not, I do not know. Because the Bhagavata Dharma that is to be practiced requires some equipment, requires training, requires great efforts, and requires time also. But then a dying man can have all these equipments in a short while. For him these things can come easily. He does not require all these details. So a man who feels that I am dying, death is certain to come at a particular point of time within, say, 7 days, as it is said in the case of Parikshita. Have we ever thought when we are going to die? Death is inevitable. There is no doubt about it. Everybody knows it. But are we aware of it? Have we become conscious that we are going to die on a particular day? Let it be 10 years, let it be 20 years. Even then, no. Even when we are 80 years, we think we shall live indefinitely. Life is interminable. That is, they say, the wonder of wonders. Every day we see people dying around us. We have not seen a single man who has not died in the past. And yet we feel we shall continue forever. But then when we have got that kind of consciousness, that kind of fooling ourselves, well, religious life does not begin at all. We must have that awareness that the time is at hand, that I must finish whatever I got to do within that space of time. That is, thought of death is absolutely necessary, not as a weakening factor, but as a factor to boost up our energy and to achieve whatever has got to be achieved within that span. Grihita iva kesheshu mrityuna dharmamacharat. One should practice religion, feeling as if he has been caught hold of by the lock of hair, by death. Now death is there, it is holding us in its grasp, from which there is no escape. That is the condition of Parikshit. But then for ordinary people it will be just a paralyzing feeling that, oh, death is coming and we want to escape from it. So it paralyzes us. But no, not that for Parikshit. He was anxious to complete all that has to be achieved within that period. And Bhagavan taught him that this is the way. This is the way by which you can make the fulfillment of your life within this time. It does not require much time. It requires earnestness, yearning. The yearning that we find in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, when he was anxious to have God realization, just to show the way how to realize God. He was feeling that a moment lost means a great loss. As Sri Ramakrishna just mentions, that when a disciple asked the Guru, when shall I get God realization? The Guru took him with him, saying, come on, I shall show you. Took him to a pond, held him under water for some time, and he was gasping for breath. Then he let go. And he got up and Guru asked, how did you feel? Sir, I was feeling as if my life was going out. I was dying. Then the Guru said, when you will feel like that for God, God realization will come. Now that is the feeling. It is not it should not be a paralyzing experience. It should make one full of action, full of efforts to achieve what is to be achieved, to complete the purpose of life within that brief span of time. That is what is very important that we should learn from the introduction. That is first thing that we have to learn. And then, after that, he was told how the path of bhakti can bring fulfillment in one's life. This is the message mainly. But what kind of fulfillment is there? Not without renunciation. Again, I was speaking about the theme of the teachings, the central theme of the teaching of Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of renunciation. Nothing can be achieved without renunciation. So in the Bhagavata it is said, a beautiful sloka. Truvana vibhava hetave pyakuntha smrite rajitatma suradivir vimrigat nachalati bhagavat padaravinnallavad nimishardhamapi savaishnavatra. Who is the best devotee? It is he whose mind does not swerve from God, from remembrance of God, even for a fraction of a second, in spite of the presence of the allurement of the wealth of the whole world, the three worlds, that is what he said. Even though these three worlds' wealth is offered to him, his mind will not swerve from the remembrance of God. That is the essence of the spirit of renunciation, that God will be so dear to us that everything else will be without any taste. As it is said in the Gopi Gita, Itara raga vismarananganranam. Men forget all other attachments when they taste the attachment of God. That is the Gita, that is the message of the Bhagavata. Now that is what is most important. And then how can we reach that stage? Evam Vratasva Priyanama Kirtya Jatanurago Drutachittochay Hasatyatho Roditi Rauti Gayatyunamadavan Rityati Lokabhaja. In this manner, the man of God, the lover of God, he takes the names of his dear Lord, and through that practice, Jatanuraga, he generates within himself the true spirit of devotion, the intense feeling of love towards God. As I told you by the illustration of Sri Ramakrishna, we cannot remain even for a fraction of a second without him when that feeling is there. Then our heart melts, even if the stoniest heart will melt. Then he sings aloud the glory of the Lord. Then sometimes out of joy he laughs. Sometimes he weeps. Sometimes he shouts. Sometimes sings. Then all this lokabhashya, without any thought about what will others say about me. He is a madman, he is a madman of God. Sri Ramakrishna says, can you become mad for him? People are mad after many things. Mad after women, mad after money, mad after name and fame and so forth. Can you feel that madness for God, without which God realization is not possible? So that is the condition that is clearly stated in the Bhagavata. Then the Bhagavata is full of narration about the sport with the gopis, the intensity of love that the gopis felt for Sri Krishna. There is a saying that when Sri Krishna comes from the grazing grounds, bringing back the cattle, the gopis used to look with fixed stare towards Sri Krishna, so that even a moment's absence from the eye should not be there. Then they say, the stupid creator created our wings in the eye, so that when there is a winking, we miss the sight of our God, our beloved. Even that kind of, absence of God is unbearable. Truti yugayate tvam apashyata. Even a fraction of a moment seems to be a yuga when we do not see you. That is the intensity that has been expressed in the Bhagavata for God. And then the climax of it is there. When the gopis heard the venu of Sri Krishna, the tune of his flute, they were anxious to reach him from their houses. They left all the household duties wherever they were. All details are given there. There had been some cooking, they left the cooking. Somebody just doing something else, they left that work in this manner. One of the gopis was kept locked in a room. She found that it was not possible for her to get out of the room. But what is the obstacle? The obstacle was the body. She left the body and went. Just imagine. Imagine the beauty of the expression. Dearest thing in this world is this body. And she left the body to reach the company of the beloved. Where else can you find such beautiful expression as this? That is the message of the Bhagavata. As I told you, message is vast, it has got so many aspects, but we are not just now going to narrate all these knowledges or all the sum total of them or summary of them. Let us give this madness for God. That is the message of the Bhagavata. May He give us a little taste, a little at least, of that madness.